I just want to talk about Quodd Heroes. I want to talk about a game that I have been, let's say, a fan of, but also ambiently hovering around for the better part of 3, maybe 4 years. I think 3 years is about the mark we have. I remember when this original Kickstarter delivered, and I have had a journey with this game. We'll get into all of that, but just so you know, Quodd Heroes 2nd edition is coming back to Kickstarter, or already available on Kickstarter, and this is the relaunch of the campaign. I was backing the other campaign. I was going crazy, getting all of the painted minis, really excited to have the more accessible and updated rules, really excited to have the scenarios and in a way to approach the game that didn't require quite as much effort as this 1st edition has to get off the shelf and onto the table. Because Quodd Heroes is a game like none other in my collection. It's a game that really has no competition in the genre that it's in. It is a riot. It is fun. It has had some incredible experiences and moments. And kind of like that truck backing up outside, it also is sometimes a bit slow-moving and a bit hard to pull off the shelf because of how weird and how different this game is. So this is not a sponsored video. This is a video talking about a game that I was originally backing before they pulled the plug and have relaunched it now. And they're doing a lot of things in 2nd edition right. Like I said, they're going to be bringing you pre-painted miniatures that allow you to identify your quads even easier. They're going to be bringing you scenarios. They're going to be bringing you more accessible and approachable ways to play each one of the asymmetric factions. And at the end of the day, they're reskinning, rewriting, and re-implementing the rules and the rulebook so that it's easier to learn, play, and table. All right, that's enough on that. Let's talk about what Quodd Heroes is and what my experience has been with it. First off, the production quality is insane, and it's coming from Wonderment Games, and I believe this is the only title they have put out, but they have done everything to the nth degree. With gloss here on the tiles, with a giant metal first player token, with 2 of each version of your quad so that you can have one on your player board checking which direction it is flipped, and one on the game board that's actually maneuvering and cycling around. This is a bit of a programming game, or at least a pre-planning game, where you're deciding how you want to interact with your brick. And it is going to be flipping and then taking actions and movement abilities based upon the side that it's on, which creates a really interesting programming kind of scenario. This could be a skirmish-style game. This could be a game that's, collect all the prizes, grab and get all of the sheep that are running across the board. This is oftentimes a race game where you're trying to get from one point to another as fast and efficiently as possible. And it has a lot of potential take-that elements with powerful cards and abilities that allow you to manipulate and screw over other players. I mean, I've had scenarios where I've literally hopped into a location like this, placed down a few cards that allowed me to build an entire fort, kind of bunkering myself in to avoid the retribution that was heading my way. And then I had a friend flip up on top of the wall, drop a bomb inside my fort, decimating the landscape around me, and then jump out moments before it actually exploded and destroyed them as well. If that sounds weird, if that sounds like a lot, that is what Quodd Heroes is. I really, really like this game. And yet, at the same time, this game can be weird and hard to get to the table. I don't have anything else in my collection that quite functions the same way that Quodd Heroes does. I don't have something that implements the physicality of the piece or the miniature that you have on the board in a way that pairs with the programming element. You see, every single side of the Quodd Hero has its own artwork, and you can see that artwork spread across the board here. And there's actually a ton of these boards. So I'll just show you a few as we talk through this. So every single side has its own artwork, but then every single side also pairs with its own unique movement ability that can also be upgraded throughout the course of the game. So as you start cycling through and playing this, you realize that the puzzle is largely on the board here and how you actually are programming or utilizing the adjacency of your miniatures or the angles of your miniatures to get the best effect. Feet will cause it to flip. Locations and spaces will cause it to hop or jump or bump or roll to the side or flip upside down or use a special Quodd Hero power, which is its Q power. And every one of these is a new way. Every one of these abilities sequences a new way to approach the game. You might be able to pop forward one and then flip down and then have a card that allows you to pop into your quad position and then flip over to the side, landing on top of a wall, and so on and so forth. Or you might get stuck behind a river or flowing downstream or not being able to flip up on top of the wall like you need to. There's a lot of things that can be both frustrating and remarkably enjoyable about Quodd Heroes. So my experience here with Quodd Heroes has kind of been a mixture of both. I've been fascinated and really, really invested and excited about this title, and at the same time, I've found it to be a bit hard to table because it's weird, because it's different, because it's one of those odd games that I don't know how to tell people what it's like. I could call it a racing game. I could kind of call it a programming game. I don't know that I have much more descriptions beyond that. It's just kind of its own thing. And with the amount of different scenarios, the amount of different ways to play, it also is kind of its own experience. You could run around the board grabbing all of these different items that provide you with so many different ways to interact with the game state. You could have and include the various different world events that cause different types of damage or chaos to happen across the board. It could be a straight up race game where you're just trying to get from point A to B. Like I said, it could be a capture the sheep game. There's a lot going on here. And I don't know, I just wanted to talk about it. It's kind of the puzzle. I was flipping here to show you one of these big scenes that sets out here. So for instance, it's talking about the example of movement here. Again, I find it a little bit hard to describe, but you're going to be moving up with a natural tumble where you're going to step into the river, which is going to flow you down into this location, which gives you a whirlpool, which is going to spin you. It's going to flow you up on that river. You're then going to go ahead and utilize one of your abilities to flip forward. That flip forward is going to give you an opportunity to jump, so you'll pop over the wall there and you'll land here on the other side. That's the scene, that's the chaos. And there's other things like a teleporter, a spring loader, a pit that you could fall into, whirlpools that'll cause you to move or shift on the board itself. So Scenario Book 1.0. So you have benefits of exploration, hero upgrade, player versus player, and team scenarios. So basic rally race, a collection race where you're trying to get from point A to point B across 5 different marks. We have Race of the Ancients, which is going to be a little bit more complicated version of that, with a lot of little hidden locations. Capture the Crystals, which is going to be here in the center, and you all are kind of rushing towards the middle zone, getting points for each one that you capture. The Crystalline Gorge is going to be another crystal gem collection, but you're going to be going through this kind of dangerous valley. We have Drop It Like It's Hot, which is going to be... I don't know that I've played this one before. It looks like there's a lot of different crystal spawn points that pop up on the board, so another collection-style game. Sheep Soccer is a game where you're batting sheep around the board. Battle Royale is the skirmish version of this. Overlord Sheep Hunt is where you're going to be trying to capture them all. We have the Bomber Quad, which is the game where you're actually going to be getting a ton of different weapons and rolling these custom little bomb dice across the page. 3 crystals, the Trap. We have the Amazing Race, which is a massive race across the board here, where you're dealing with water, you're dealing with pits. You've actually got to build some zones in order to make it to the center area there. And then we have solo and co-op campaigns. So we have the Crystal Speedrun, Mayor is Lost. We have Bad News, Ice Cubes, Freeze-a-thon, Help from a Friend, It's Locked, Dangerous Ground, and Bring Me the Crystal. So that's the weird thing. All of those scenarios, and you could also create your own custom scenarios, but all of those scenarios introduce different ways to play and explore this game. I don't know. I've just talked for about 10 minutes straight. I just wanted a chance to share, highlight, and talk about Quodd Heroes. Like I said, I wasn't planning on producing a video on this until that last campaign didn't close where they needed it to. They're relaunching, and I think it was the responsible thing for them to do, and I'm excited as heck to see what Season 2 is going to hold and to be able to show that off to you.